There's quite literally nothing you can do to keep your name out of people's mouth. Hey Dimes! I wanted to share some of the things that I've learned in my 20s so far. Let's get into it. Most people only invest in beneficial relationships, whether that be for social currency, financial gain, or pleasure. What you can do with this information is start to treat yourself like an asset. Don't be just anywhere with just anyone. There's a very, very short window in adulthood where you can get away with outlandish and bad behavior until you're deemed old enough to know better. So figure out what you want your value to be and act accordingly. Because you never know who's watching, and how you carry yourself can make or break the relationships that you are building. Because networking is extremely important, especially if you plan on being an independent entrepreneur or artist or whatever it is. How you carry yourself can dictate the types of relationships you attract and maintain. The good thing is you have the ability to set the bar. The bad thing is you have a very short window to do so. Because eventually you'll have curated a reputation for yourself, and once that is set in stone, it's very hard to change other people's perspective of you. My next point is that anything worth having requires sacrifice. Whether it's your time, money, efforts, whatever you truly desire is always going to require sacrifice. You trade comfort for growth. You invest money to gain money. If you want something in this life, you are responsible for making it happen. It's very, very rare that things will just fall out of the sky because you simply want them to. So it's your job to look at the things that you want, find out what they require of you, and decide if you are willing to sacrifice those things to gain the desires that you want. My next point is that people are going to talk regardless. They're going to talk. There's quite literally nothing you can do to keep your name out of people's mouth. So you could either ignore it and go after all your desires, or shrink yourself to appease the naysayers. Do you really want to look back at your life and think, I wish that I did more. I wish I didn't listen to what other people were saying? Or would you rather look back and think, I did everything I ever desired. I accomplished so much, and I made myself proud. You really curate the narrative by how you move. So if that's something that you care about, if you care about what people are saying, then give them something to talk about. Because they are gonna talk. So give them something to talk about. Remember, you write your story, so don't ever give anyone else the pen. Everyone you attract is a reflection of your frequency. Everyone acts as a mirror. If you want to attract better, you have to become better. As above, so below. As within, so without. These laws exist for a reason. So if you aren't happy with the types of people and things that you're attracting, then it's time for you to look inward and do some work. And what I mean by that is, if you attract people with an avoidant attachment style, then odds are you also are avoidant. Maybe not in the same way, but in your own way. Say you meet someone who has an avoidant attachment style within relationships, and you're thinking, okay, well, I'm not avoidant in relationships. I like to communicate. I like to be confrontational. You might be avoidant with your own self. Like, maybe you don't complete the tasks that you're supposed to, or you avoid your priorities. Because everyone can teach you something about yourself if you choose to see it. So if there's something about someone and it's triggering you, like, oh, I hate that they do that, I hate that they do, look inward first, because you attracted that person in the first place. And all they're doing is reflecting back to you your own traits. If that ever happens, it's time to look inward. Like, that person's avoidant, maybe I'm avoidant in my own life. Maybe I'm avoidant with myself, you know? It's not always the exact same scenario, but there's usually some, underlying truths to those kind of things. You can't save someone who is comfortable in their suffering. Sometimes it's the people closest to you that make the worst decisions for themselves. And I could understand that it would be very hard to watch the people that you love destroy their own life. And you can help, you can give words of encouragement, you can assist them in the ways that you're able to, but at the end of the day, people will only change and better themselves if that is in their own desire. Because say you finally get someone who has been a detriment to themselves to, help themselves. If it wasn't their idea, if they didn't feel called and connected to the idea of self-improvement and betterment, odds are they're going to relapse into that bad mindset or those bad habits, because it's a choice that they have to make. They have to want better for themselves. There's nothing that you can truly do to change someone else's life. You would be doing yourself a disservice by abandoning yourself to help someone else progress in ways that they don't even desire. So it's not to say don't help people who need help. Obviously, do your part if that isn't your heart's desire, but don't abandon yourself and your own progress to do so. Because we all have the same 24 hours in a day, and what other people do with theirs is none of your responsibility. You can bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Time is gonna pass regardless, and how you spend your time and how you spend each day is a sneak peek into what your life is gonna look like within the next 5 years. Every day your habits are curating your future. So would you rather spend 5 years saying, damn, I wish I started then. I wish I started when I first got the idea. We always think that, and then we tend not to learn from it. But if there's things that you want and you have your desires and for your life, only you get to decide when these things come into play. It's all up to you. Another thing that I've learned in my 20s so far is that men are inherently selfish. Some people might argue that humans in general are inherently selfish, but I guess in my own personal opinion, I'd say that men embody that characteristic much more effortlessly than women do. Men are always going to put themselves first. Their needs, their desires, they're always going to put themselves first. And you can either sit around and try and change a man's nature, which again, you can't if you didn't know, or you can act accordingly. There's nothing really wrong with putting yourself first. If you don't, who else will? Not a man. Not a man, I'll tell you that much. And women are more likely to succeed and progress in their careers and in their life when they're single and independent and self-focused. So do not put a man's needs above your own, because a man would never do that for you. If you can be as selfish as a man, do you know how much you could accomplish in your life? How little trauma you deal with by putting yourself first at all times? Just something to think on, if you can't beat them, join them. Well, that's all I have for today. Let me know if you want a part 2. I would love to share more things that I've learned in my 20s so far. It's been quite an eventful time. My 20s have been very eventful, and I would love to share with you guys all the things that I've learned and all the things that may help you in navigating your 20s. We're all in this together, right? Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you want more videos like this one. Have a great day. Mwah.